Have you ever looked in your rearview mirror and noticed the same cop car still behind you after 2 miles, 3 turns in a gas station parking lot? Most drivers freeze up, start sweating, and make one small mistake that hands police everything they need to justify pulling you over and searching everything you own. That mistake happens before the lights even come on. Hit subscribe right now because what I'm about to share could be the single most important thing you watch before your next drive. Cops are trained in something called the follow and document technique. And if you don't know how to respond the moment those lights activate, you are already losing. Here's exactly what you're going to learn in this video. You're going to learn the one sentence you say the second that officer walks up to your window. You're going to learn the question that legally freezes a fishing expedition in its tracks. You're going to learn how to handle the pressure tactic cops use when they've been following you and have nothing real on you. And you're going to learn the exact behavior that protects you from being set up during a pretextual stop. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and I can tell you right now that the drivers who walk away free all do the same 4 things. The drivers who end up in cuffs all make the same 4 mistakes. By the end of this video, you'll know the difference. Let's talk about what's actually happening when a cop follows you for 2 or more miles. Here's the reality. That officer is building a case in their head before they ever hit the lights. They're watching how you drive. They're waiting for you to speed up even slightly, brake too fast, drift too in toward the line, or make a turn without signaling the full 100 feet the law technically requires. Now, this is called a pretextual stop. It means they don't have a real reason to pull you over, so they follow you until they can manufacture one. Most people have no idea this is a documented and completely legal police tactic. The Supreme Court already ruled on it. And here's where most drivers destroy themselves before the conversation even starts. They get nervous. They start touching their brakes repeatedly. They pull into a lot to try to lose the cop. They speed up. They switch lanes. Every single one of those behaviors gives the officer something to write in their report. You basically hand them the justification they were looking for. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. The best thing you can do when you realize you're being followed is drive perfectly. Keep both hands on the wheel, signal every single movement, and stay exactly at the speed limit you are being watched. Drive like you're taking your road test. Because what happens in those 2 miles before the stop is going to be the story that officer tells in court if this goes that far. Now let's get into the tactics. The first one happens the second those lights come on. You pull over safely to the right in a well-lit area when possible. You put the car in park. You turn the engine off. You roll your window down about halfway. You put both hands at the top of the steering wheel where they are fully visible. You do not reach for your license and registration yet. You wait. The officer walks up. They say something like, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And here's where 95% of drivers blow it immediately. Bad way. Most drivers say something like, "I don't think I was doing anything wrong," or "Was I going too fast?" That response just invited a conversation. You just gave the officer an opening to start probing. Good way. Smart drivers say this instead. "I'm not sure, officer. Is there something specific you observed?" Word for word. Right there. That response does 3 things at the same time. It doesn't admit anything. It doesn't give them a new thread to pull. And it subtly signals that you know you're being watched and you're not going to feel silence with nervous rambling. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court to show their client was calm, cooperative, and gave nothing away. The officer will then explain why they pulled you over. You listen. You hand over your license, registration, and insurance when asked. You say nothing extra. Here's the reality. Anything you say beyond the minimum can and will be used as a foundation for escalating that stop. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the pattern is identical every single time. The driver talks too much, mentions something offhand, and 30 seconds later, the officer is asking if he can take a look around. Your job in the first 60 seconds is to say as little as legally possible while being completely polite. This is 100% legal. You are not required to answer questions beyond identifying yourself in states with stop and identify laws. You're not required to explain where you came from, where you're going, or who you were with. Silence is not suspicious. Silence is smart. Have you ever been asked where you were coming from during a traffic stop? Drop a comment below right now because I guarantee most of you said something you didn't have to say. Tactic 2 is the one that shuts down the entire fishing expedition, and it's 5 words. After the officer has explained the stop and you've provided your documents, you are going to enter the pressure zone. This is where officers trained in roadside investigation shift gears. They'll say things like, "Mind if I ask you a few questions?" Or they'll say, "You seem a little nervous, is everything okay?" Or they'll start chatting casually, asking about your day, where you work, how long you've had the car. This all feels like small talk. It is not small talk. Every answer you give is being evaluated and documented. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, am I free to go?" 5 words. That's the whole tactic. You say it calmly and politely after you have received your documents back or once the purpose of the stop has clearly been completed. Watch what happens when you say that. The officer now has to make a legal decision. Either they have reasonable suspicion to detain you further, which means they have to be able to articulate specific facts, not just a hunch, or they have to let you go. That question forces them off the casual conversation track and onto a legal track. Most officers doing a fishing expedition don't have enough to detain you. They're banking on you volunteering information. When you ask that question, you take away their fishing pole. Bad way. Most drivers sit there and keep chatting because they think being friendly means answering every question. Then the officer says, "Well, since we're talking, do you mind if I just look in the back seat real quick?" And the driver says, "Sure," because it feels rude to say no. Then they find something. Then you're arrested. Good way. Smart drivers wait until the business portion of the stop is done. Then ask, "Officer, am I free to go?" The officer either says yes and you leave, or they have to produce a legal basis for keeping you there. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. In Illinois v. Cabs, the court addressed how long a stop can be extended, and lower courts have consistently held that officers cannot detain you indefinitely based on nothing more than wanting to ask questions. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection during a follow-up conversation at a traffic stop. This is 100% legal. You are not being rude, you are not being difficult. You're exercising a constitutional right and doing it in 5 polite words. Tactic 3 is what you do if they say no. You're not free to go. Most people crumble here. The officer says something like, "I'd like you to step out and stand at the back of the vehicle while I run your information." And instantly, people comply with everything because they assume compliance means the whole thing ends faster. Sometimes it does. But here's where a follow-up situation from being tailed for 2 miles becomes dangerous, because now you're out of your car, you're at the back of the vehicle, and the officer's partner is walking up from the other side and starting to look into your windows. Listen closely because this is critical. The moment you're asked to step out and you're not under arrest, you clearly and calmly state this. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches of my person or my vehicle." Exactly those words. You say them once. You say them calmly. You do not repeat them 10 times. You do not argue. You do not physically resist anything. You comply physically with lawful orders to step out. But you have now verbally established on the record and on their body cam that you did not consent. Former police officers have confirmed this works. The reason it matters is because if anything is found during a search you didn't consent to, your attorney immediately challenges whether the search was valid. Without your consent, they need either a warrant or a recognized exception. And if neither exists, that evidence could be thrown out entirely. Watch what happens when you say those words clearly on camera. Now there's a record. Now the officer knows you know your rights. Now anything that follows is going to be scrutinized. That single sentence has changed the legal landscape of your entire interaction. Bad way. Most drivers at the back of their vehicle say nothing or say go ahead because they think innocence is a protection. It is not. Consent is consent regardless of what you have or don't have in the car. Good way. Smart drivers say I do not consent to any searches. Calmly, then stand quietly, hands visible, and wait. They don't argue. They don't film aggressively. They comply with every lawful command, and they let their attorney sort it out later if needed. Most viewers already clicked away. If you're still here, you are already in the top 10% of drivers who actually know their rights. Drop a comment right now that says, "I'm still here," and I'll know exactly who the serious ones are. Because the next part is the most important, and most people never see it. Tactic 4 is about the 2 miles before the stop, the part that matters more than most people realize. Because here's the thing. Everything that happened while that officer was behind you was being noted. Your driving behavior, your speed, whether you signaled, whether you changed lanes, whether you pulled into a lot and then pulled back out, all of that becomes the narrative of the stop report. And if you gave them clean observations, meaning you drove perfectly the whole time, then the stop itself may be legally questionable. Here's exactly what you do the second you notice you're being followed. You don't speed up, you don't slow way down, you maintain your speed. You signal every single move with proper timing. You stay in your lane cleanly. You obey every traffic signal and sign as if your license depends on it. And if you legally and safely pull into a parking lot or turn onto a side street and the officer follows, you now have evidence that you are being followed because the route change was intentional on their part. That matters in court. This is 100% legal. You are allowed to notice you're being tailed. You're allowed to pull over proactively in a public, well-lit area before the lights even come on. Some attorneys actually recommend this because it shows you were not fleeing. You were choosing a safe location. You look at the officer and say this when they approach. I noticed you behind me and wanted to pull over safely. That line establishes your cooperative mindset before the conversation begins. Now, let's lock in the legal backbone of everything you just learned. The first case is Terry Viz, Ohio from 1968. In plain English, this case says police can briefly stop and question you if they have specific and real reasons to think you're involved in a crime. Not a feeling, not a hunch, real facts they can describe. This is called reasonable suspicion. It is a lower bar than probable cause, but it is still a bar. They can't just stop you because you drove through a neighborhood they think is sketchy. The second case is Rodriguez versus United States from 2015. This one is huge. The Supreme Court said that once the purpose of a traffic stop is complete, meaning once the officer has dealt with the reason they pulled you over, they cannot extend the stop without reasonable suspicion of something else. So if you got pulled over for a lane change and the ticket process is done, they cannot legally keep you there just to run extra questions or wait for a dog to arrive. This is the legal foundation behind asking, "Am I free to go?" The third case is Florida Versick from 1991. This one explains that even when officers approach you and ask questions, you do not have to answer, and your refusal to answer cannot by itself be used as reasonable suspicion. In plain English, saying nothing or saying "I don't want to answer questions" is not a crime and cannot legally be used to justify a search on its own. Now let's walk through a real scenario so you can see all four tactics working together in real time. You're driving home late, normal night. You notice a police cruiser get behind you about 2 miles from your house. You don't know why. You drive perfectly. Speed limit. Both hands on the wheel. Signal every turn. Clean lanes. The cruiser follows for 7 more minutes. The lights come on. Wrong way. You panic. You pull over fast and swerve a little. You immediately start digging for your documents before the officer even asks. When they get to the window, you say, "Sorry, I was just trying to get home. I don't think I did anything wrong." When they ask where you're coming from, you tell them everything. When they say, "Do you mind if I ask a few questions?" You say, "Sure." 20 minutes later, you're standing outside your car while 2 officers search your back seat, your trunk, and your center console. They find an old pipe your friend left. You're charged right way. You notice the cruiser. You drive perfectly for 2 miles. You signal every move. When the lights come on, you pull over smoothly and safely. Engine off. Window halfway down, both hands on the wheel. The officer approaches and asks, "Do you know why I stopped you?" You say, "I'm not sure, officer. Is there something specific you observed?" You hand over your documents when asked. You say nothing extra. When the ticket or warning is handled and documents are returned, you ask, "Officer, am I free to go?" They say they'd like to ask a few questions. You say politely, "I'd rather not answer additional questions." If they tell you to step out, you step out calmly and say, "I do not consent to any searches of my person or my vehicle." You stand quietly with hands visible. You comply with every lawful command. You say nothing more. They either let you go or they now have to justify legally every step they take next. And if they search without justification, your attorney challenges it. You walk away from this entire situation with your rights intact. That is the difference between being informed and being set up. Next week, I'm dropping the full video on what to do when a cop claims they smell marijuana. That is the #1 tactic used to justify vehicle searches across the country, and it gets innocent people arrested every single day. Hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because that video drops in 4 days, and it might be the most important one I've ever made. Let's do a fast recap of everything you just learned. When a cop follows you, drive perfectly, because every second before the stop is being documented. When they approach, respond to the opening question with, "I'm not sure, is there something specific you observed?" and give away nothing. Once the stop's purpose is complete, ask, "Am I free to go?" in exactly those 5 words. If they try to extend the stop or search, say clearly and calmly, "I do not consent to any searches of my person or my vehicle." These 4 moves used together create a legal wall around you that no officer can easily get through without proper justification. Hit subscribe so you catch that marijuana stop video before it drops. Smash that like button if this just changed how you think about traffic stops forever. And drop a comment telling me which of these 4 tactics you had no idea about before today. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next.